let me get Michael Sternfield into this conversation. Mr. Sternfield, I'm assuming it's in the wee hours of the night where you are seated. So what do you make now that the day has arrived, sir? I'm guessing you've had a chance to look at the temple as we have been telecasting this. What do you make of the moment, sir?
Thank you so much for having me on this broadcast all the way. I am in a place called Maharishi Vedic City in the very center of the U.S. This is a complete community founded on Vedic principles, founded by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who has been my spiritual teacher. And by the way, I know they think it's cold in Ayodhya. Here it's minus 20 degrees centigrade. We know what real cold is here in the United States. So I personally feel, and I know I'm not a native Indian, I'm not even an NRI, but I've been meditating personally for 50 years now. And what I'd like to do is go on that deeper level of this incredibly significant, we could call it historic, but I'd say spiritually significant restoration of Ram in Ayodhya. Because Ram is the light of light. Ram is the light of life in the heart of everyone. And when you fathom the depth of this consecration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya after hundreds and hundreds of years, it's really a reinstallation of Ram in the heart of everyone in India. And from there, I think it will radiate throughout the whole country. These evolutionary trends will come out of Ayodhya. It's extremely powerful for the revival of India as the center for true spiritual knowledge for the world.
Okay, so what is that center? Because we had a conversation recently, Mr. Sternfield, and you were telling us about your association with this over a few decades, and telling the story of through the audiobook of Lord Ram. So you've been part of the journey for a long period of time. For some people, yoga was a big thing 30, 40 years ago. For others, they've just adopted it. It's just started. So when we are saying that there is a spirituality, and when we say that, okay, when Mark Zuckerberg needed to discover himself during a moment of crisis, he came down to India to do that. Or the Beatles did, or Oppenheimer had to read the Gita. What do we mean by it? What is the positivity there, or the lessons there that you've discovered along the way?
Yes, it's true. I've been working on this a long time. About 30 years ago, I started doing these various productions of Ramayana, including this wild idea of recording the full unabridged Valmiki Ramayana as a dramatic reading. It took me 7 years to do. It's 75 hours long. The transformation that I went through in that process in those 7 years, I didn't just record the Ramayana, I was living the Ramayana. And really, what is the Ramayana? Discriminating finer and finer levels of Dharma. And what's seeing, we're caught up in a world right now that's in Kali Yuga, Adharma. And I think it's very interesting, and this goes back to, there's both a personal and collective level. On a personal level, all of us are Ram, on our Ramayana, our cosmic journey of Ram. All of us are on this cosmic journey. Transformation, growing in finer levels of Dharma, deeper levels of truth. The Ramayana is a guide, it's a textbook for fathoming deeper and deeper levels of life, all the different levels. Maryada Purushottam Ram, Ram Brahm Paramaratma. So on a personal level, but on a collective level, what happens at the end of the Ramayana? Ram creates Ram Raj. Ram Raj Dukkhahu Navyapa. No suffering in the kingdom of Ram. Now, we're in Kali Yuga. It seems impossible to create this golden age. Ram created this 10,000 year period after Sita left and returned to the earth. It was golden age. But remember, that was at the beginning of Dwapara Yuga, meaning the laws of nature were already declining. Here we are in Kali Yuga. I think the deepest level of the Ramayana, on a collective level, is that we have the capability of creating this mini golden age, mini Sat Yuga within Kali Yuga.
No, so you mentioned golden age, and I've sort of been discussing that since this morning and before that. Progress is not a straight line. So yes, indeed, there are golden ages and there are dark ages. History tells us that. It doesn't mean you have a golden age forever, it will be golden. But sometimes when the classical revivalism takes place in a modern context, you would call it the Renaissance, and you're seeing it happening in India, where you're rediscovering a lot of things. A lot of things that are always there. The Ayodhya was always there. The story of the Ramayana was always there. It's just being rediscovered at a different scale. So let me quickly get Himanshu Bhatt back into this. Himanshu ji, let me bring this back to where we are in the conversation where I left off with you. What is Narendra Modi's role in all of this? Does he happen just to be there at the right place at the right time?
I think he's basically what we call it as a provider of confidence. He's acted as a catalyst for the nation to wake up again. I'll put it that way. Because it was there in Bharat, it was there in India, right from the beginning. But that slavery had made us so badly lazy, that we were not able to awaken our own self. And he has played a role of a typical catalyst in a chemical reaction, whereas that catalyst turns everything back to normal. And now, after this catalyst acted its own way for 10 years,
Okay.
another 5 years of that catalyst, and we are going to be our normal selves.
Okay. So catalyst, you say catalyst. Okay. So Alok Mehta, officially the Supreme Court of India gave a verdict. A temple trust came and built a temple. It happened to happen under the premiership of Prime Minister Modi, but officially he had no direct role. Now, you and I know that's not the entire story. That probably under a different Prime Minister it may never have happened. So, what is Narendra Modi's role in all of this? Does he take away as the man who delivered the Ram temple, since officially he had nothing to do with it?
Yeah, you remember he started with Advani ji Rath Yatra, and then he pledged that I will come here when Ram temple will be there. So I think when he became a prime minister and the verdict came from Supreme Court, then he remembered his own principal secretary, Mr. Narendra Mishra. I met at that time when he was the principal secretary of Mulayam Singh and then Kalyan Singh ji and the advisor and all. And that's why I think he always believed, Prime Minister believed to ask people to work hard and do a time-bound program. That's why for this temple, I think the Narendra Mishra ji also mentioned that time to time he used to just ask any difficulty you facing. And that's why he was controlling indirectly or directly supervising also just any problem to complete this work.
Okay.
That's why we should give the credit to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because he was behind the curtain, but religiously from heart he was also working, and he has a good team.
Okay.
That's why we have seen this.
Okay, so it's
now.
happened. So it's not a coincidence, because let me put the same question. Sumit, officially a Supreme Court judgment clears the dispute, a temple trust comes and builds a temple. There might be a support system that has been provided by Narendra Modi, but is that the full story? Will history record it that Narendra Modi just happened to be there, or is it literally some sort of a self-made destiny in action?
I think Rishabhji, Narendra Modi is the person who made it possible, who vowed to make it possible. Look, he went 32 years back to Ayodhya. He said, I'm not going to come back till the time Ram Mandir is not. 1993, he makes a statement, you give us the majority, you give us a 2/3 majority, we'll take out 370, we'll make the Ram temple. And that will be part of the BJP's manifesto. When as a prime minister, there were a lot of things which had to be facilitated. There was a lot of geopolitical pressure which has to be managed. He had to keep the communal harmony in place. He had to keep the country going. He had to keep the economy running. We had a challenge with COVID. We had the problems with Pakistan. We had problems with China. With all those things going on, this Adhyatmak focus was there. And he is the person who told all of us it is proud to be a Hindu. It is okay to be a Hindu. We have our Abharaj. You can deliver the goods for Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Prayas. But at the same time, it's okay to wear a tribund on your matha and practice this. Today, when you talk of the Yampran, wherein for last 11 days he's just on one coconut and sleeping on a chadar in a Delhi cold. That is what he told us. When he is going through all and rebuilding where Bhagwan Sri Ram went from Rameshwaram, Kerala, Andhra and all the states, southern states, and getting that feeling. When he's uniting those Hindus, and if you saw him yesterday in Tamil Nadu, when he was walking through, you can see that 90-year-old lady was blessing him. She doesn't understand Hindi. She doesn't even probably know where Ayodhya is. But that resonation of Hindu faith, the renaissance of Hindu culture is what Modi told you, is what Modi taught you. He taught you how to be proud of being a Hindu, how to be proud of being a Sanatani, and how to get to deliver for everybody.
Okay, Pathikrit, same thought to you. Officially, Narendra Modi has no role to play. But how will history record the creation of the Ram temple in India? Just coincidence that it happened to happen under the premiership of Modi, or more accurately, that, and I'll use the word, self-made destiny here?
Well, Rishabh, we all know how the previous dispensation was fighting the case in the court on the Ram temple issue, and how under Prime Minister Modi, the sincerest effort was made to ensure that the case is won with the right kind of logic. We know what was being done by the other side. We know what the UPA did. And then to ensure that against all odds, in spite of the challenges of the COVID, he knew very well, as I mentioned earlier, that in 2022, if they had not won the UP election, today would not have perhaps happened. The enormous amount of reverse calculation, that's what I keep on saying, that before the Ayodhya temple is inaugurated, the right kind of airport and railway infrastructure was built, the roads were built, the enormous amount of effort that was made to ensure that it does not give rise to any kind of communal disharmony, the enormous amount of effort was made to ensure that nobody can say that temple is being prioritized at the cost of the economy. Everything was parallelly being done. Good point. He had a hawk eye on everything. So I would say he delegated work to everybody. And let me tell you, in a country like India, in spite of so much of fault lines and fissures, the manner in which he is galvanizing the whole country into one entity, the collective spiritual, feeling that we find resonance today in Ayodhya and across the country and across the world.
Yes.
It's unprecedented.
There is a saying, fortune favors the brave. So yes, indeed, a few puzzle pieces had to fall into play. But surely it cannot just have been a coincidence. Surely it is a self-made destiny, because it was far too convenient for too long to do nothing. Politicians, ladies and gentlemen, prefer to do nothing, because doing nothing is the safe thing to do. Okay? Sometimes the surgery which is required to actually cure the patient can be painful. It requires you to do an intervention. You can't just be sitting there and hoping that your ills will be cured. An intervention was required, and that intervention by definition comes with lots of headaches. And this could have been an absolute disaster. You could have gotten the Supreme Court ruling, the temple could have not have been made on time, it could have taken 7, 8 years, 20 years, 30 years to make a temple. The entire organization could have been a mess. I mean, you build the temple through the middle of COVID. It's been well done. Okay? And their credit has to be given. The open judgment to history, of course, remains.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.